Marcos here. All right, so as I said, I received your file. So this time actually you place it properly and everything is fine. Um, and I'm doing now critique. As I said, I'm gonna send it this afternoon. Okay, so let's take a look what we have so far. Okay, let's play it. All right. So what I saw here is a simple kind of standing pose, idle pose for the video games. The problem I have is that it seems to me that basically it's done, and it looks to me like it's done with the two keys, one key up, one key down, and the rest is Maya pretty much connecting. And it would look better actually if you have some overlaps. You see this head, the head is completely glued to the body. There is no neck. I mean, there is no like a joint of neck that you actually could use. I mean, there is, but you didn't use that joint to get some flexibility in his neck. Also, when body goes down, the hands, they have to be delayed a bit. So when the chest is going up, the hands are kind of going down and then up, and then when chest is going down, the hands are going a little bit, in opposite direction in a way, so that you actually create overlap. If you don't have overlaps, your animation is going to look rigid, and that's exactly what is happening right now. Another thing is that I think that you are spending too much time on this kind of stuff. Your focus shouldn't be on this. This is all fancy stuff. What is the point of fancy stuff and if animation doesn't work? And let me tell you, on many places actually it's not working, because if we are talking about this simple idle animation, okay, fine. Whoever knows animation will see that it's been done with two keys. Now, this is big problem. That is probably the biggest problem. You are saying that this is walk cycle. Cycle. Now, I don't think it's a cycle, because that character is walking, and then what's happened here? How he gets from here with this foot to this? What's happening exactly here? Boom, boom, boom. Now, that's kind of worrisome, because although you're calling it walk cycle, it wasn't animated as a cycle, because I went in a Maya file and I noticed that this guy, right, is not walking in the cycle. And I'm questioning now, even if you know what that means, walking in a cycle, because your character definitely is not animated to walk in a cycle, because his front foot is placed here, and then that foot is still there, although even you didn't move it, so there is obvious mistake. This foot was supposed to start moving down, but it's frozen in the air, as you can see. This foot, right? Let me grab his cog, because cog is a start for moving everything and anything. First you move a cog and then the rest of the stuff. So as he is going forward, this foot is not moving. Finally flips down, and what is happening is that character actually is walking in a space. That's not cycle animation. That's not walk cycle on the same place, what we call also a treadmill. This is just a regular walk in a space. So I don't know if you understood properly what you're supposed to do. Right. And then if I actually look at your animation, I can see that there is no weight shift. If this is a contact, and that is contact, it looks like a contact. Front foot is a heel down, toes up. The back foot is toes down, heel up. So if that's the contact, what is happening after contact? As the character is going down, you're supposed to shift the weight. But that means that you are actually going in opposite direction. In order for this foot to get off the ground, you have to put this bulk of the weight over this leg. This leg has to become supporting leg in order for this one to go up in the air. And you're doing completely opposite. This leg is supposed to be like that. So the weight of the character is supposed to be over this leg in order for this one to be released of the pressure and to travel from back to front. And you have completely opposite. So yeah. So in down pose, your character actually is the most on this side. What actually shouldn't be actually extreme. Only passing poses are extremes when we are talking about movement of left and right in the hips. You see how he's walking? He's going with the weight over the leg that is traveling. First, the leg has to get in contact, and then this would go on that foot. That's why in the contact, the weight is always here in the middle. That means that the cog is supposed to be 0 in translation X. So that's a big problem. Another thing that on the down pose, he could have You could make it a little bit more down like that. I think it would actually look even better. It would give him more weight. It's gonna look like he's heavier character, and I think that's pretty much what you wanna achieve, right? He's some very powerful muscular, the guy with you know lots of stamina walking. So with the down pose actually pushing a little bit more, that's exactly the effect you would get. You could also go a little bit higher with this leg and probably rotate that hip. I don't know controls, but no. Well, whatever you could actually get those toes in opposite direction here, so that it would be actually curled like this. That would be nice for a down pose. So it would look like he's peeling off his foot, right? All right, so another thing I noticed that the character is not really rotating its hips. That's another problem. When you select a hip, a cog, right? That's a main control. There should be a rotation. Rotation Y. You have only rotation X, so that's strange. I mean, rotation X is fine to have, but it should be in combination with the rest. Where is this? As he's placing his legs, as his one leg goes forward, one stays behind. That means that his cog has to also rotate. It has to rotate that way. And your rotation Y is 0. That means you didn't move your hips at all. I mean, his hips. That's a problem. Also, when don't know what's happened here. So if you're looking at a cog, translation Y, you see these 3 keys here, 3 keys there. That means on each side, as he's walking, he has flats. And it should not be flat. There should not be flats at all, because as the character is moving, it has to have a constant move. If something is flat, that means that on these places the character, or I mean the body parts, are not moving. From here to there and from here to there, there is no movement. I don't know if you understand graph editor, but from here to there and from here to there is no movement. In order for this to look proper, I assume this one would have to be there and this one would have to be there. Something like that. I don't know how much. I don't have time now to place my, to play with animation, but now I'm favoring with these keys, I'm favoring this one extreme because it's closer to that one than it's not in the middle. But still, this key and this one they have to be something like that. This is how the graph should look. There should not be these flats. Nothing should be flat. Nothing. This flat is not okay. This is not okay. So what I would suggest strongly, to go back to some PDF that you might have, you have to have it, about walks. And please read everything in detail and look how actually graph editor is supposed to look. I'm sure that you had a 3 a.m. class where they are dealing with the walks, actually walk cycles, and there is a PDF of walks. Look for every pose, how it's supposed to look. Look for the weight shift. Look for the graph editor. Everything's supposed to look properly, all right? Because having this fancy stuff, walk cycle, I mean, we should be able to figure out that this is walk cycle without you telling us it's a walk cycle, right? All right, let's move this. And as you can see, there is no movement in the tail at all. It looks very stiff. And the chest is moving kind of strangely. It moves and then stops and then moves again. Now, what about this action pose? Again, I have feeling that he is having 2 keys. There is 1 key . Right, so we have a one key, other key, back, forth, back, forth. You need some overlap on it. So, try to get a little bit more flexibility into it. And he can go a little bit down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And last time I was talking about this action, and I don't know if you did anything about it, because as he's going here for anticipation, as his chest is moving forward, his arm should be still a little bit behind. That's going to create overlap on the arm. And then when the chest is reaching the other side, the arm suddenly goes zoom, right? It's catching up with the chest. When he goes from here to front, he should go dip down, right? That's the lowest that he would go. And then, so from here he goes down, and now as he's turning to the other side, he should go a little bit up again. He shouldn't just stay down. And the same when he goes back up, right? From here, he should be, like I said, a little bit higher, and then as he comes here, he goes down, and then up again here. To that, right? So yes, if you look at the hip movement, it would be from here down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's how it would look, that movement in the hips. And also when he's pushing this, that's a push movement, right? Attack. When his chest starts to move this way again, you need to create some overlap where his arms are staying a little bit behind. The chest is moving, the hands are behind, and then they are coming here and catching up with the torso. And the same thing, as he's going forward, he should dip down and then get up with the hip. And on the way back, the same thing. Look how he's stiff with the head. When the character is taking an anticipation to hit somebody who is here, the head should stay facing forward, because right now there is no joint between head and the neck and the shoulders. It looks very stiff. If this head would stay turned this way, because he's facing the opponent here, right? So as his chest is going back, 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 he should be still looking this way with the head turned that way. Just because the chest is going back, it doesn't mean that his head has to. He has to be focused on the guy that he's fighting. And some overlap. First stretched and then pull it in. Overlap here too, as he's going. Right, so once again, stop focusing on this fancy stuff, because that's not the point of this exercise. This is animation class, and you should focus on animation. Try to get some overlap on these actions. The walk is completely wrong. Please go back and figure out the weight shifts and rotations on the hips and other stuff. This is also, as you can see, tail that is from 1 to. It's too simple. And then weight shifting and overlaps on those attacks. Because you have to get that stiffness out of this movement. It has to feel more fluid. It has to be flexible. I mean, he's, after all, very skillful warrior, I would say, who is exercising every day in order to get this kind of physiques. He has to exercise, so he probably is very fit, right? Flexible. Right now, he seems to be a bit stiff. So please send me whatever you're gonna have next time on the same place, because actually this time you posted it properly. So from that point of view, it is fine, but you still have lots of fixes to do. All right. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.